Finally, Podcast Africa is out. This is very special. This is special to me, and it's special to those people who know what I stand for. And this is about the vision of the African person, young or old. I'm telling you, when I started my journey in financial literacy, that's about 18 years ago, I never thought that would reach the number of people we are reaching now and would have an impact. So I'd like to welcome you to the first ever episode of Podcast Africa. What is so special about us? We want us to focus on our finances and most importantly, the behavioral side. I have interacted with people who are actually studying financial literacy as a course. A friend of mine is doing it, this kind of a study in his PhD. And one of the things that I agree, based on the research that is there, is that number one, financial literacy will cover 4 things. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 2 is skills, which most of you don't lack. But where we find a struggle is attitude and behavior. For instance, let's make a choice. Today I have props. And these are 2, I've picked different brands so that I'm not promoting any. If you can look at these items, one toothpaste is full, the other one is almost finishing, and the other one is halfway. Chances are, if you find yourself with very little of the toothpaste, chances are it will move more days than this one. Why? Just observe in your house when you're pressing toothpaste, when it's new. You actually want to have a model toothbrush that you have filled it the way you see it on cameras. But when you have the little one, what you're going to do, you're going to almost have a bullet as long as it forms in your mouth. And as we start this journey of Podcast Africa, I would like us to address the issues why you are pressing the new toothpaste harder than the small one. And that is why they normally say the toothpaste concept is that 20% of toothpaste will spend or you'll be used for 80% of the time of the lifetime of that toothpaste. And that is why we need to start addressing our money behavior, our money attitude. What is affecting us? In this podcast, I'm so happy because I want to be that consistent voice of reason. That every time you go to the supermarket, when you've just been paid, it's no longer just checking, when you have flour of 90 bob and flour of 91 bob. You will be considering, you will be having and making very intentional decisions about your money. And that is why Podcast is live. We are live. I would love it if you followed, subscribed, and put a comment there. What is the one topic you'd like us to cover? And as we start this journey, I'd like you to just consider the various aspects of your finances. I'd like us to start this episode and talk about self-audit. Why are you where you are? And I would like us to start with our past, auditing our past. Some of us have been running away from poverty all our lives. But now we are out of poverty. You've forgotten to switch from survival mode to strategic mode. You are still behaving like the day when you did not have money. So you have to audit your past. What are your past traumas? What have you gone through financially? Have you lost money? Have you been conned and lost money, and that is affecting your everyday decision? Were you brought up in a good background whereby now everything is ordered? It's a good thing. Okay? Some of us have, from your past, you've succeeded, and sometimes if you're dared to repeat your success, it might be hard because you don't know how you got where you are. And that is why we have to audit our financial life. You have to audit your past. What cultures have you inherited? Are you inheriting burdens from your parents? Are you supporting people that you don't know if money or your salary is out? You don't know how you're going to sustain it. You have to address these cultures, traumas, your successes to see if they fit or you're fit to handle any kind of future success. And then secondly, you must be able to ask yourself, how is my present? How is my money behavior? Am I comfortable with my decisions? Do I need affirmation from Amos? Because one of the things you have to know is that as coaches, we don't play the game. We are just on the sidelines. Our goal is to help you make those decisions while you're at it. Sober decisions. So when you look at your finances, one of the first questions you need to ask yourself presently, are you living or are you surviving? You see, I didn't need to be personal, and in fact, I normally start when I'm doing my training, I start telling people, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I choose to forgive Amos for anything he might say that might confront my bad money behavior. Somebody say amen. Okay? So as we start this podcast, I'll just be there to just bring that consistent voice of reason when you're making money decisions. The next question you need to ask yourself presently about your finances is that what are some of your habits that are actually doing what? Sabotaging your success. Is it digital loans? We'll be talking about them. That consistently you're moving like those digital limits are your money. Hello, that is not your money. Is it you're stuck in buying hope as a strategy? And that is why you're stuck in betting. This is the conversation we need to have. Is it that you have too many expenses that every month there's always midway? You're thinking there's too much month at the end of the money. Are you in a rat race? This is the oddest thing that you need to do. The other present thing is you need to look at your status. You know, I tell people, marital status, you could be married. But there's a difference between marital status and the status of your marriage. Again, remember, you forgive me. So you have to audit these relationships. They're very pertinent. What is the relationship? What are you teaching your children? Sometimes it's not about living for them. It's about what you're living in them. Audit yourself. And these are the conversations we'll have for the next few seasons that will provoke your body or your good or your ailing money behavior. And now finally we go now to the future. How does your future look like? The other day, and it's good, I'll be sharing my stories. I started off in a construction site where I was fired because I was too soft. But why I like these stories is because sometimes when you're asked what you're dreaming of, sometimes it's not clear. I was invited somewhere to talk to single people about marriage and finances. And I asked them, so what do you dream of? And one of the guys was like now defining the kind of wife you'd like. I told him, no, forget about the qualities. I want you to look at a picture on the wall. There is you in that picture. What does your wife look like? How many children can you see? What's the background? Because it has to start with dreaming. What are you dreaming of? Because the moment it starts with dreaming, it brings down the aspect of, okay, I am dreaming there. That is my big dream. What vehicles can I use to get there? Because if you're not dreaming, what will happen is you realize that time is passing, you've gotten into a rat race, and now you are okay with anything that comes your way. We have to, because it's in our dreams that guides us. That's why I teach, there will be a whole topic on investment with a purpose. You don't come in because you've seen an investment. You get the direction, the vision you have for you to pick a vehicle towards the goals, and that's how the vehicle now becomes the investment you're picking, because there are 1,000,001 investment. So folks, my good people, I'd like to encourage you, just subscribe and commit to a change. And I'm going to end with this. Some of you may be struggling financially. Some of you may be in a good space. And some of you may just be there. And this is a podcast for everybody. It's about cash. That's why it's podcast. Pick what you can pick and run with it, because it is very important for us to be intentional about the decisions we are making every day. Remember, we make decisions every day, and our motto as we start this podcast, Africa, our motto will be very simple. Don't just count your money, make it count. My name is Amos Ngahu, and thank you. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Walk with us, subscribe, and we are looking forward. In the next episode, we have an exciting guest. We have an exciting announcement. And this is the only podcast, let me just call it Podcast Africa is only in Podcast Africa where you'll find rewards. We'll be going live. All the episodes we'll be recording, we'll be having a live quiz night where we'll be having cash rewards, goodie bags to reward you as our subscriber, to reward you as our fellow learners. We learn how to maneuver in this financial world. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe, share, and tell everybody. The newest podcast in town is Podcast Africa by Money Gossip. Thank you so much.